Hey guys, it's Michael. Today we're going to be judging each book on my TBR by its first sentence. I'd like to think that I'm fairly good at deciding whether I'm going to like a book or not based on its first sentence, so today we're putting that knowledge to the test and I'm going to be picking 3 books based on the first sentence. So when you guys are watching this, it's actually a few weeks later, and in just a short few days for you guys, a little reading vlog will be going up where I read the top 3 books of this video, the 3 books with the best first line. I'm going on holiday and you know, I'm just doing some other stuff, and I thought this would be fun to split into a little 2-part series. So yeah, look forward to that, but let's just get straight into the video. It is time to get this video on the road, so what we're going to do is we're going to ignore this absolute growth on my face and ignore the semi-wet hair. I just got out the shower and I'm getting impatient, but I will show you my TBR card. This is the collection of books we will be working with, of course decorated with some lovely vodka. And obviously these are my first year books, the Assassin's Apprentice trilogy, Robin Hobb. These are just here as a prized possession. But these 2 rows down here are full of books we can be reading, besides these 5 which I've read, and these 2 which I'm like currently reading, I suppose. They're just kind of like slow reads. But from here onwards, and then from here onwards is what we will be reading the first lines of and ranking today. So I mean, I am kind of planning on just doing this live. Like, I'll just pick the book up, read the line to you, and then we'll decide if we like it, and then we should maybe try and get a stack somewhere where I can like rank them. And yeah, that's how this is gonna go. I would like to think that I am like able to determine if I'm gonna like a book or not based on its first line. But also there are some exceptions. Like, I've spoken about this book a few times, I Who Have Never Known Men. I remember the first line of, actually the first few pages of that even just being completely confusing, and I really thought I was going to give up on it, but then that ended up being one of my favourite books of the year. I feel like a really good first line of a book does, this book is literally stuck. This first one is like wedged in there. This was my mistake for putting a tall hardback in this, but we're gonna try. Oh lordy. Trying not to damage this right now is really struggling. So first up we have Build Your House Around My Body by Violet Coopersmith, and this was gifted to me by my boyfriend's mum, and I don't think she's read it yet, but it was kind of just like a book that we were sharing. It's got the little bookmark in it from the shop where we bought it. This would actually be quite a good one to take on the holiday, just because obviously I'm going to visit my boyfriend, so I could give it back to his mum. I don't know if this was like a permanent gift or if she's wanting it back, but either way, I could give it to her to read if I enjoy it. The first line of this goes, "Something was moving in the shrubs in front of the Tan Son Nhat airport." Okay, that is not the most intriguing. Obviously there's nothing to pit this against right now, so it's going to be like top of the list or bottom, but I shall start the stack. Maybe I could start the stack on top of this, although that feels like it could end really badly, but for now we'll stick with that. Next up we have Pachinko by Min-Jin Lee. This is one I've really wanted to get to, so let's hope this has a decent first line. "History has failed us, but no matter." Okay, that is quite a good first line. I think that's definitely going to go above Build Your House Around My Body. Next up we have Lanark by Alistair Gray. This is a Scottish author who I've studied a little bit in my course, and yeah, this is one that I'm really looking forward to as well. First line of this goes, can I find the first line? That would be good. That is the introduction. "The elite cafe was entered by a staircase from the foyer of a cinema." Yeah, that was not a great first line. That was like a fine first line. We've got a sense of setting, but with the first line I'm just really looking for something that's going to set the tone for the rest of the book, that's going to like draw me in, or like at least introduce me to a character. So yeah, that one was not great, Alistair Gray, but yeah. Next up we have Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This I'm pretty sure I've actually tried to read before and didn't like end up continuing much through, but the first line of this is, "I had my recurring dream last night." Although there actually is a little bit of, so like the first line's here, but there's a little bit of text up here which I suppose I should probably read. All that you touch you change, all that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change, God is change. Okay, that's like a pretty good one. I'd say I'd put that above Build Your House Around My Body, but Pachinko is still taking the top spot. Next up, we have Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I recently read Sharp Objects and thought it was fine, but I've heard much better things about this one. So, I don't know, maybe this could take the cake. I have a meanness inside of me, real as an organ. Okay, now that is a good first line. I feel really conflicted. I have a meanness inside of me, real as an organ. Was that what it was? Yeah, real as an organ. Oh, I need to read the second line as well. Slit me at my belly and it might slide out, meaty and dark. Drop on the floor so you could stomp on it. Bitch, okay. Dark Places and Pachinko are currently reigning at the top. Next up, we have The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel, which is an author I really liked. Station 11, didn't love it, but I really liked it. So let's see, first line of this goes... Begin at the end, plummeting down the side of a ship in the storm's wild darkness, breath gone with the shock of falling, my camera flying away through the rain. Yeah, I'd say maybe like here. That was not too compelling, but like I get it. There was definitely an atmosphere there. This is currently the stack. Next up we have a book that I'm really excited to read, but I just don't think it's going to be the vibes for the holiday. It's The Overstory by Richard Powers. It is very long. It's like 700 pages. And this is actually my most recent addition to the TBR. I just like love this cover. But the first line of this goes, first there was nothing, then there was everything. Yeah, I feel like maybe here. I feel like that feels like a good space to put that. Next up we have The Movement of Stars by Amy Brill. This was gifted to me by my boyfriend because it's set like near where he lives. Hannah bent over her notebook in the half-dark of the tiny room at the top of the house, squeezing the remainder of her entry onto the very last lines of the page. Don't tell the boyfriend, but that was not a great first line. Although I am really excited to read that one, it sounds quite engaging, but not from the first line. Next up, we have a book that I'm actually really looking forward to, and that is The Buried Giant by Kazu Ishiguro. I actually have another one of his books coming up. This was the one I bought first. It just felt the most appealing to me out of all of his books. It feels kind of fantasy, although I'm not too sure. The first line goes, you would have searched a long time for the sort of winding lane or tranquil meadow for which England later became celebrated. Okay, I would say that would go maybe like here. That was not the most engaging first line, but like I get it, it definitely sets up, you know, the discussions of the book are going to be about like England rebuilding itself after being conquered by the Romans, I guess. Next up we have The Virgin Suicide by, who's this by? Jeffrey Eugenides. And I've seen the movie of this, so I'm not like totally engaged in the book. But the first line is, on the morning the last Lisbon sister took her turn at suicide, it was Mary this time and sleeping pills like Therese. 2 paramedics arrived at the house knowing exactly where the knife drawer was, and the gas oven, and the beam in the basement from which it was possible to tie a rope. Okay, that was really good. See, I really loved that first line, but I feel like I'm gonna have to put it like maybe here. So far, Dark Places is pretty much undefeated, as well as Pachinko and Parable of the Sword. They feel like 3 really strong ones. Next up, we have A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. And if I can predict, the first line of this is going to be pretty dull. I do like Hemingway's writing, but it just isn't for everyone. He tends to just really just state things as they are. The first line is, in the late summer of that year, we lived in a house in a village that looked across the river and the plain to the mountains. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what? Yeah, I feel like that is not... I mean, I get it, that's like a good sense of setting, I would say. But unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to put that second last. This is where we start to struggle. Okay, for now this seems fairly stable. We're moving down to the bottom shelf of the book cart. And first up we have The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin, which is one I've been dying to read. But I always feel quite intimidated by this book because, I don't know, just from what I've heard, it's quite maybe hard to understand. and it feels like it's going to be quite a task to read, but it is one that I really want to read, because if you know me, I'm a bit of a fantasy buff. And the first line of this reads, "Let's start with the end of the world, why don't we? Get it over with and move on to more interesting things." Bitch, okay. Yeah, that was so good. I feel very conflicted. I kind of want to put that second, but I also would love to put it first. So I think I'm going to have to put it first. This lighting is not doing anyone any favours, but unfortunately this is like the only place I could kind of film. I suppose we could maybe... That was not a good idea. We could maybe scoot round a little bit so that, you know, a bit more of an interesting angle. So much more interesting. I feel like we're gonna have to do something about this stack of books because it's like not very practical considering we have like 10 books left. Next up we have Notes on an Execution by Daniel Kafka. This is a signed edition, I'm pretty sure, yeah. And I really love this cover. I don't know if I'm in the mood for this kind of book, but let's see what the first line is. "You are a fingerprint." Okay, that feels like it could slot in maybe under the overstory. Okay, what I think I might do is I might take the 3 books off the bottom, like the Assassin's Apprentice trilogy, so that we've got like a little bit less to work with. Yeah, let's move these and let's try and slot this back in without causing the end of the world. Next up we have the other Kazuo Ishiguro book, and that is Clara and the Sun. This is one I'm really looking forward to reading. It was very hyped when it came out. It was longlisted for the Booker Prize and it won loads of prizes as well. And this feels like quite a good one to start with for him because it was so popular. "When we were new, Rosa and I were mid-store on the magazines table and could see through more than half of the window." See, that's actually quite interesting because from what I'm assuming, this is about like people that you can buy, like robots, I'm pretty sure. So I definitely am getting a sense of like what the story's gonna be. But was that the most interesting first line? I would say maybe just under the Virgin Suicides. Next up we have American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. This has been on my TBR for the longest time. The first line reads, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter," is scrawled in blood red lettering on the side of the Chemical Bank near the corner of Livingston First, and is in print large enough to be seen from the back seat of the cab as it lurches towards the traffic leaving Wall Street. And just as Timothy Price notices the words, a bus pulls up, the advertisement for Les Miserables on the side blocking the view. But oh my god, okay, no, absolutely not. That is the first line. This full paragraph, absolutely not, that is going dead last. Okay, that has successfully reached the bottom of the pile. And next up we have Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado. This is one that I'm really excited to get to. I loved In the Dream House. So, but this is short stories, so I suppose we can't really get too much from the first line of this, which has to be kind of kept in mind. But the first line reads, "If you read this story out loud, please use the following voices. Me as a child, high-pitched, forgettable, as a woman, the same. The boy who will grow into a man and be my spouse, robust with serendipity. My father, kind, booming like your father or the man you wish was your father. My son, as a small, gentle sounding with the faintest of lisps, as a man like my husband." Oh my god. Okay, as all alone, interchangeable with my own. I suppose that wasn't really the first line of the book, but that is like the thing that first appears on the page, is this little... Oh my god, that was so good. I think I might have to put that first, I kind of want to say. Yeah, that feels like first. And that's actually really good because that is like the book that I was planning on reading next anyway, so I'm glad that it's ended up first. You know, Carmen Maria Machado just like knows how to write. Like, you know how when you read a book and you're like, this is a writer? Obviously all of these people are writer, but Carmen Maria Machado is chef's kiss. Next up we have The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Really want to read this, just keep putting it off pretty much. The first line reads, "We slept in what had once been the gymnasium." I feel like I'm going to put that under Build Your House Around My Body because, like, what? That was like not a good first line. But like I get it because it's about like women who have been subjected to bad things. A bad thing is about to happen if I don't concentrate. Okay, only got 4 books left. Next up we have Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is a like sci-fi fantasy that I really want to get to. Heard so much about it. Lots of the other booktubers that I watch really love this book. So the first line is, "The first thing you should know about me is that I am my father's son." That was like quite good. I think I'm gonna put that under the Virgin Suicides. I just saw it wobble a bit. This is getting pretty scary, but we only have 3 books left. Next up we have Lady Sings the Blues by Billie Holiday. Is, I'm pretty sure, a non-fiction or like a autobiography kind of, or like a fictionalized event. I actually have no clue what this is, I just know it's about Billie Holiday. But the first line of this reads, "Mom and Pop were just a couple of kids when they got married." You see, that was like fine. So I suppose I could put this under maybe The Buried Giant. I could put this under. Okay, success for the time being. Next up we have The Enquiries by Aro Kwan. This has a gorgeous cover. I tried reading this a few years ago and just, it didn't stick, but I'm much more interested in it now. The first line reads, "They'd gathered on a rooftop in Knoxhurst to watch the explosion." Okay, like I feel like at this point there's like no point in putting them in the stack, but this would slot just under. Actually, I have to put it in the stack. I have to commit. I have to commit. Okay, it's in. We have reached the last book. Could this be number 1, or do we have our definitive 3? Okay. Last but not least is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I don't really know what to expect from this. I don't know whether it's going to be creepy or just kind of random. The first line goes, "No live organism can continue for long to exist sanely under conditions of absolute reality. Even larks and katydids are supposed by some to dream." That was like fine. I would say that slots under The Buried Giant. Am I gonna have to put this in? Yeah, I'm gonna have to put this in. Okay, we have our completed stack. I will just show you. Here we go. But this now means that we have the 3 books I will be taking on holiday with me and the 3 books that I will be reading for this vlog. This colour combo is kind of, we've got like lots of blues and greens and blacks going on. I'm kind of vibing with this. This is quite a nice little stack, and also like this stack of books are very pretty next to each other. But I don't know if I'm going to take a backup or not, but I feel like I'm probably not going to read much more than these, and if I do I might end up buying something while I'm there. Not entirely sure, but yeah, this is the 3 books that I will be reading. So yes, here we have my little what? So yeah, that concludes today's video. I hope you have enjoyed. Stay tuned as the vlog will be coming out in just a few days. A little 2-part series, if you will. And yeah, I'm really excited by these 3 books. These are 3 that I've actually wanted to get to for a long time, and they kind of all go together well, so that just pleases the eye, doesn't it? So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in just a short few days. Goodbye.